I'm going to share what is churn, why are we even bothered about it, how to prevent it, why customer health scores can really help and make a difference. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to prevent customer churn by actually creating a metric that could help you predict it. Before we start, I'd like to remind everyone, subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the great videos that we produce on customer success. I'm going to share what is churn, why are we even bothered about it, how to prevent it, why customer health scores can really help and make a difference. So besides just really creating an amazing customer experience, what else should you be worried about? And how should you include the health score, and how should you build it so that it does effectively help you predict churn? So let's get started. So first of all, about churn, a lot of times we talk about customer not leaving, etc. But in the software world, a lot of times they use the word churn. Why are they so concerned about it? Well, first of all, the way that just to align the discussion, most companies calculate it by the fact, like, if I had a recurring business and I'm expecting my customers to stay with me for a long time because I have monthly contracts or annual contracts with them, then if 5 customers left this month and I had 100 at the beginning of the month, essentially I effectively have a 5% churn rate. Companies that have a recurring business, like insurance companies or anybody that sells a service that is effectively renews every month or every year, it's actually really impactful. So let's take a look at 2 companies. One of them might only have about 5% churn, whereas the other one has 20% churn. Over a trajectory of 10 years, the impact of that churn rate over the company's ability to grow is going to be much, much bigger, grow bigger and bigger over time. And that's why it's very important to address and try to lower the churn rate. And so today we're going to show you how. So let's talk a little bit about preventing churn. So this is where customer success has really started blooming. Before we had just B2C companies where somebody might come to your restaurant and leave, then you really want to focus on the customer experience. The model stopped working when you have a subscription-based service or software or technology. What we found over the years is to really make it sticky so that customers stay with you for a longer time. You need to really help them achieve customer success. So it's not enough to just give them a great experience. If they don't achieve their desired outcome, they're still not going to stay. And this has a great impact on developing these methodologies to not only share a great experience, but also making sure that we deliver on outcomes, on value to customers. And the larger and more complex your business, sometimes nailing the customer outcome is a bit more tricky. But in general, if the value and relationship are 2 things that impact the retention outcome, essentially the value is really represented by the customer outcomes and the relationship is represented by the customer experience. This is not a new thing. Obviously, this model has been really working very well for the hotel and tourism industry. And this model just happens to work really well for the subscription companies as well. So we really want to make sure that we maximize customer value as well as the relationship. But how do we know that we're actually do that? We need a customer health score. And a properly designed customer health score, in order for it to really predict churn and alarm us when customers are about to leave us in our service, it needs to have a clear indication of 2 things. 1, indicate the strength of our relationships with our customers, and B, make sure that we provide an excellent level of value to our customers. And it's not just from our products that we sell, but the overall experience in the service. If you saw the previous example with that lady that purchased that cat food, cat litter, if they don't like it, then the outcome has not been achieved. She's not going to stay on as a customer unless they have a different product that they can serve, even though the experience was great. So we want to make sure that we showcase both of them and work on both. And the customer health score is an indicator to let us know ahead of time Are they achieving that, yes or no? Why is this important? It's important because if we're achieving a great customer experience, even if the customer has a very low value, they will at least let us know before they leave, just in case we do have a different product for them, because they really like working with us. But if we have a weak relationship and a low value proposition, meaning they haven't really achieved their outcomes and the experience was just meh or not great, they're going to leave us without even letting us know. Some companies, the contract value that they have with customers is huge, or even large, in multi-million dollars worth of business. And this is where it becomes super critical. But I would submit to you that even companies, small software companies with a subscription that's monthly and like a few tens of dollars a month, still deem this very important because of that impact over the 10 years trajectory. So if we could have a crystal ball or a health score that can help us determine, are we providing high value and are we having an awesome experience with our customer, then we can predictably say that either they're going to stay with us and become an advocate, so even impact our new business, or if they are going to leave, at least we'll have a heads up and be able to mitigate that risk ahead of time. So a health score that can predict this is really important, because if they're here, they're getting high value but not a great experience, or they don't see value and the experience is not great, but we can tell that ahead of time, we can do something about it to win back the client before they leave. And in fact, one of the best ways to mitigate churn risk, especially with a subscription model, is to identify at-risk customers early enough so that we can do something about it. And this statistics is actually from a Achieve Forum research that was published just this January 2021. We at CSM Practice actually conducted a whole market research around health scores in Q4 of 2020. And we found that a lot of companies actually have a health score, but they can't seem to have any effect on whether the churn rate was low or high. And so when we dug in, we noticed that a lot of them are just not designing the health score in alignment with just making sure that the relationship and the value are there. So today I'm going to show you how to do this properly so that if you do want to predict churn early so you could mitigate it, you'll know how to do this properly. And for those of you who have never seen a health score being calculated in a system, this is an example that was provided by Sales Machine. Sales Machine is a customer success platform, meaning they have all the modules and features to allow you to track whether a customer is healthy. And you can see that they actually track the health of the customer in different phases of their customer journey. And so why this is important is because if you have someone that's managing the relationship with that account, they can prioritize their day. They can actually create some calls to action with regards to the health of the customer. So we'll show a little bit about what we can do about it and what type of calls to action you typically have with regards to the health score a little later in this presentation. So how do you manage for score? So a score is really the quality of the relationship or the strength of the relationship. So in this example, I represented it as a QOR, the quality of the relationship. One of the ways that you can score a relationship is using a Likert scale, from no relationship at all to an awesome relationship. And I wanted to show you some examples of things that you can use in order to score the relationship. So in this very simple example, I'm only taking 3 things that pertains to a relationship in a company that works with customers that they might need to engage with because it's a subscription-based type of offering. They might need to send them emails. And so are they opening it or not? And if maybe they open it, but after a few days, or maybe they respond after a week or 2. So, you're not a high priority at this point, but they might also respond very quickly. Same thing for events. They might never attend, never click, never open any invitations, or they might not only attend, but also promote it on social media. Same things for meetings. Are they giving you some time? If you do need to meet with them, are they willing to meet with you? Or, maybe once in a while or quite a bit, even requests for meetings. That gives you a sense of not only the quality of the relationship, but how strong it is, how much of a trusted advisor relationship you're actually having with your customer, and the value and the significance of the relationship, which is really what we want to score for. Now, if these categories are not perfectly aligned with your business, you need to think about how do you communicate with your clients and put some sort of a Likert skirt so that you can have an overall score. In this example, a customer might score up to 15 points. And so I'll show you how to use that to actually put them on the quadrant properly. Next, we want to obviously score for value. This is an example how SAP scores for value their customers as well. So in this example, I just put, a maximum of 20 points. You can see that they actually define the value not only as how much money they save or, how much productivity they gain, but they're actually looking at different perspectives. And so you can see that they included how engaged they are as part of the value. They also have how much are they using their knowledge base and guidance and things that they have online, like online resource, for example, events and such. Are they updating their systems? Are they looking into, using as many services and modules that their software allows? And then eventually, are they getting the goals that they want? They're actually using this score to have conversations with clients and drive accountability to getting the most value out of their entire service offering, not just their software, as you can see, to ensure maximum ROI. So what I'd like you to take away from this is that an ROI calculation doesn't have to be what is the business outcome specifically, but also are they leveraging every aspect that we have to offer in order for the customers to drive and optimize their own business or their outcomes. So now that we have a profound way to calculate the value score and a way to calculate the relationship score, we want to take a look at, okay, what happens next? So we have the QOR. If it's below, let's say, a little less than half, so 9 out of 15, and what we notice is that if the ROI is greater than 16 out of 20, if it's a low value, but a high ROI, they understand the ROI of the service, but they don't really like working with you. So customer experience is really lacking. So in that sense, they're just going to look for a competitor and not even tell you about it. And if they don't like working with you and they don't get any value, they're just going to churn and probably say, well, we made a mistake. We probably don't need this. However, if the customer experience is really great, which is the emphasis of this show and this conference, you can see that a lot of times the reason you see a lot less churn is because you will get, even if they're thinking they're not getting enough value out of the relationship, they will let you know because they like you. And also because they like you, they're probably going to grow their business with you. Since they have a little budget left, they're going to let you know about it so that they can do this additional business with you. So this is why customer experience is so important, because you can mitigate churn risk earlier and you can grow your business and ensure retention a lot higher. But notice how the value plays an important role in your ability to dedicate less resources to just fight risk churn. What if there is a risk of churn? What should you be doing then? So let's say your health score, you calculated and you saw that you get a fairly low return on the investment score, but high on QOR. What should you be doing? So as opposed to a health score, you want to have the team actually identify why. Is it a very high risk of churn or a low risk of churn? So I a lot of times go through it with my clients and say, what kind of things actually cause your customers to leave? And they make a list. And this would be all the things that are at a higher probability, meaning they would only go into this customer risk indicators if the probability, if these happen, the probability of the customer leaving is above 60 or 70% chance. So if there's a little bit of a chance, it's probably not going to go into this churn risk indicator. So now that you've made a list, you can actually have specific playbooks to help create win-back strategies. This is such an important component in a customer health score strategy, to creating these playbooks so that your team knows what to do with customers that have, that are super green. You can request for online reviews. You can request them to be advocates. You can ask them to be a reference with a specific customer you're trying to win. engage in beta products? What about if it's just yellow, kind of like in between? Well, in that case, you want to meet with the customer and drive a plan to make them more successful. Try to understand, is it the relationship? Maybe they want to meet more. Maybe they want, instead of emails, they want to be interacted in a different way. And so it's really important to double click and kind of find out, why is it just like not so great, and how can you fix that? If they're in red, most companies develop win-back strategies to win the client back. Here are some examples. They might offer a discount. If the initial experience was just not set up correctly, they might do a reset of the onboarding of that customer and extend the contract for the duration, so for free, so that the customer can readjust and realign instead of investing in a competitor, and build a success plan to get them back into a green mode. So if you are going to build a health score and you're going to get a lot better at predicting churn ahead of time, it's very important to create these type of playbooks. If you're interested, you can learn more about scoring relationships with customers by watching this video that I've made with Ziv Peled, who's the Chief Customer Officer at AppsFlyer. He actually goes and drills down really deep into how they're tracking and scoring relationships with customers at a very detailed level using Salesforce, which I think is really super interesting. And then I also had a deep conversation with Christine, who's the global head of customer success management at SAP, around how did they come up with that value scoring? What did that do for their business? How are they leveraging it? And he goes really into depth about each one of those components that I showed. So I very much recommend. Lastly, I'm going to share these slides, so you're welcome to take a look. And also, you can download the complete account-based formula that I shared with that quadrant that was developed by a guy named Ben Wynn. You can download the entire slide, the original slide deck, when he presented it at a conference called CS100 about 2-3 years ago. And you can see like the thought process that he went through to get there, and what kind of results did that make for his business. I can just share that one of the results was that they increased their NPS score quite a bit. I want to thank everyone for their time today.